Okay, so as it's already been mentioned, this is the part of the penetration test when everything comes down to the business value of network operation. Yeah, so uh, it is really important to keep the data uh, in order. Yeah, so the data that is collected in this phase of a pen test can be enormous in amounts. Yeah, so it will be really different in nature, and it's really important to keep it in order to be, again, in order to be able to produce valuable reports. Yeah, so starting from this point, the amount of different bits of information will be required to organized in some specific tools or databases, and there are some examples I can give you in order to start using right now. So for topology mapping of the networks, yeah, if you are a networking guy, which is a cool thing, people who are coming to pen testing from networking operations that have really good insight and background in how things interpret with one another, uh, they make for good pen testers. And one skill that is really nice to maintain further is using this MS Visio tool, you know. So yeah, uh, here you will rather reverse engineer the Visio maps that network architects had in their mind and on the paper when they created the networks, right? But if you are familiar with all the semantics of different network device symbols in Visio, you will be okay with using that, yeah, for that purpose. Other things you can do is, for example, use Multigo. The same way it's been used before with some serious extensions. So you can manually add all the different things from this infrastructure palette or some other types of information to the graph and connect them to the objects that are already there. So for example, if you have a host designated by the IP address, you scan it and then you add the open ports and connect them to this host. Yeah. So of course it will make the multi-GUI graph even more messy, but you know, if it's how your mind works and you want everything to be presented by the graphs, it can be a solution. Yeah. There is even this automation tool. I don't know what's the name of this project right now, but still, there are things that can be done out from this multi-GUI graph in terms of scanning, enumerating, and so on. So there is this Ploytigo project, and it allows you to just use a new locally installed transform to nmap scan, for example, a host or IP address, and automatically add open ports with service enumeration and fingerprinting results to the graph. So it's pretty cool. It's really, really buggy, yeah, so we'll have to spend some time playing with it in order to make it work, but still, it's kind of cool just to play around. What is ZenMap? ZenMap is a GUI for Nmap. It comes with it. It's not really useful in running anything, yeah, because it's like, you know, it's a GUI. If it crashes, you will break your scan. Uh, but it can be used very effectively in order to read the scan results you already have. So every time you use Nmap, you can export the results to different file formats. Yeah, so one of them is XML, and if you add an XML to ZenMap, it can graphically represent the topology of the network that you have just scanned. You know, and moreover, you can add multiple results in XML format. Yeah, and it will correlate them to you and provide you this graphical representation. So this is kind of cool and can be used when you have different people scanning different networks, and then you have to make up a bigger picture of all these scanning reports. Okay, so that's about topology mapping. What about keeping things in order? Yeah, so Uh, this stuff has business value, and business people tend to use Excel. Okay, so in order to prioritize, in order to filter by some features and options, and in order to sort all this and work with it more effectively, you may be needing to use Excel. Okay, so I have some auditor background, so for me it came naturally, and every time I work, for example, on a social engineering pen test, I start filling Excel spreadsheets right away with the data I find on people. Okay, with the host, that's the same thing. Normally, on the host level, I do not define tuples. Yeah, so in a database or in a table, a tuple for me is a service, and it has an IP address as its field. But you can follow other schemes. However, it should be detailed enough, and it should be generalized enough, and you have to be able to group tuples by a specific feature and sort and so on. So once it comes to generating reports, you won't be running around trying to get all your stuff together. Okay, so when you do pen test and you collect evidence and have to maintain this attack narrative thing, yeah, so everything should be stored, for example, in a chronological manner, yeah. So this order can be kept by some tree structure. Okay, so for that we will have these two things, cherry tree and growly nodes. I personally recommend the second one, but as far as I know, it runs only in macOS. So cherry tree is available in both Linux and Windows, I guess, and its advantage is that it's not that neat as growly. Okay, but it has unlimited levels of the tree. Okay, so you will basically have two panes. At the left, in both these tools, you will have this tree that drops down to different levels, and every node in this tree will be your actually node. Yeah, so this hypertext document, you can copy paste graphics and text and other stuff in there and save them. And that's really useful, and it comes handy when it comes to different data that has to be stored in this chronological order. So try it out and select one of those. However, I have real considerations about Evernote and OneNote. Personally, I have used OneNote for a really long time, so in previous versions it just was the software of choice because it generates MHT files, which are really easily parsed by different software and can be used as the basis for just automatic report generation in Microsoft Word document format, for example. But at some point, Microsoft has decided that it has to have cloud-based storage. Okay, maybe that's okay for most users, but penetration testers are slightly different, so I have not found a way to establish trustworthy end-to-end encryption there, so that's why I just stopped using it. However, it's a really neat tool, and it's quite nice. And it has this screenshot taking capability in it, yeah, as well as Evernote, but Evernote uses the cloud as well. It can use, I guess it can use offline storage in a premium version. However, I'm not sure you will be always controlling what storage you use to save a particular bit of information. So just missing the storage type can result in sending it out there, and that's not the information we can share with anyone. Remember, there is no cloud, there is just someone else's computer.